So here's where we are at. I have officially destroyed the night rod frame by making my cuts. But don't worry, it's only a temporary thing. The idea was I needed to make those cuts so I can get the engine squished up under the frame, and now I can figure out the placement forward and back. Now, things to keep in mind. Um, well, why do you have the engine pushed so far back? Well, first of all, we don't have a starter on here right now. And the starter is about 11 inches in length. And although, I did take the measurement of the diameter here, the starter theoretically should squeeze in between these two frame rails in the front, your down tubes. But we also have to keep in mind we're going to have a intake screen in here. So that's about 12-inch diameter, and it's got to go extend past the starter. Like the starter will be inside that screen. And I really didn't want to exceed going past these frame rails, because in the front of these frame rails, I'm thinking of normally on these bikes that'd be a radiator. I'm thinking about fabricating an oil tank to put on the front here. So another thing, now that I've got the engine in here, there's things I can take note of. One is access to oil, the oil pressure coming in to the second number 2 bearing here in this frame. So you have number 1 bearings in the front. It gets its oil from the oil pump on the other side here. Now number 2 bearing gets its oil from the top, comes out through the bottom through a scavenge system. I just have to keep this area open so I can make the tubing or like stainless braided hosing to get oil to the top here. I believe it's this one here. These are capped off. Those are for pressure testing. Also, I've got clearance here for our stator vane actuator. And we've got all this room down here for the fuel control module, which should extend just about from the front here all the way just a little bit past where the fuel diverter valve, that's where your fuel comes into the spray rings, into your spray nozzles rather. Anywho's, now I don't have this up on jack stands yet. Probably gonna put some jack stands on this. The front of the bike, the front of the frame here has got to actually come up a little bit, because I'm using this this surface here as my reference point, and I can also use the seat mount. These are actually in line with each other. I use these, so when I level this will be level, and then I can match it to the aft section there. I've got some parts coming in to finish mounting the swing arm. Turns out there was 2 different versions of bushings for the pivot shaft that holds the swing arm to the frame. And of course I had a 50-50 chance, and I got the wrong one. So the correct ones hopefully will be in, I think, tomorrow. Fuel tank cover I think comes in today. And I've got some other little bits and pieces coming in. Now that I've got the engine in here, if I can lift this frame up just a little bit, this will level out, because these are kind of sitting aimed up to the sky. These should be parallel. This frame and this should be parallel. with the engine. That'll match up to that. And now I can measure this space in here. And then when that cover comes in, then I'll have an idea how high my fuel tank will be. Because what's unique about these V-Rods, the fuel tank is not normally where a fuel tank is on a motorcycle. The fuel tank is actually underneath the rider's seat. So like this space down in here would have been occupied by a little plastic fuel tank. We're not gonna do that because it's gonna be a tremendous amount of heat back here. Now I could use that as an oil tank maybe, with enough insulation, but I think an oil tank in the front would be a wiser idea. Keep everything up towards the front, away from all the heat. I mean, it's bad enough that the tire and the wheel, the brakes, everything, all that is gonna get exposed to a lot of heat back there. Even with heat shielding that I plan on putting in here. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but my ass cheeks are gonna get the blunt of the combustion chamber here. Again, I'm gonna have the frame's gonna be sitting up a little bit higher than where it's sitting now. Like ideally, the frame's sitting on the engine right now, but when it's said and done, I'm still gonna have a little bit of clearance between the frame and the engine. That way I can get some sort of airflow in here, so I don't, theoretically burn my biscuits. I'm trying to think of what else. This engine is missing the third stage nozzle. So every time I take my measurements, I have to add about 4 inches to the back of the engine. And then from that starting point, that takes care of the whole engine. The whole engine, I believe, is about 35 inches long when you have that last nozzle on there. Then from there, I figure we have to go from a 14-inch diameter down to, I think, an 8-inch. Or I could even go from like a 14 down to a 10 and then split that into 2 8-inch tubes via a Y pipe sitting right around in this area. It's going to split, go around the swing arms, and then you'll have the 2 afterburners coming out each side of the rear wheel there. So I think the next stage is, well, I got to get some wheels ordered. I don't know how and why, but these V-Rod wheels, they only made 3 versions. You have like the solid aluminum, the Harley Fat Boy looking wheels. I really am not a big fan of the solid aluminum wheels. I'd like to have something with like a five spoke kind of pattern. I think they'd be a little bit stronger. I'm trying to avoid doing like the wire spoke wheels, just because I don't know. We got a tremendous amount of weight, and I don't know how well those spoke wheels are going to do, the wire wheels. If anybody can give me insight onto that, feel free to post that in the comments. Also, these subframes that mount from here to the bottom of the other subframe there, you got the 2 frame rails that are going to run along the bottom. Those are insanely expensive, and I'm going to say the cheapest I've seen them is probably about $400 each. So left and right, I'm still looking at like $800 just for a couple of frame rails. Now, I could just bend some tubing and just fabricate some. The issue is, I know on these, the forward controls, like where my feet would rest and your brake pedals and stuff, are also mounted to those frame rails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bite the bullet. I'll buy 2 of those frame rails, and like after they come down and they make a bend and they go straight back, I'm gonna end up cutting them there. And then the idea is I need to be able to take the engine out for obvious maintenance, and also I've got this engine here as a good like mock-up, but this is not actually going to be the final engine for this bike. Um, I'd like to be able to take those frame rails out, and then we could theoretically just pick the whole frame of the bike up and over the engine. And that's actually a pretty smart idea. I wish I thought of it myself. Oh wait, I did. But I think that's the route that we're gonna go. And also, as soon as those frame rails come in, that'll help me figure out like how high up the bike is gonna sit. It'll give me a better place to shore this up because I gotta line everything up. Take these measurements so I can order this tubing, and then we can make the frame whole again, and then we can focus back on completing the engine. I gotta fabricate that fuel tank, the oil tank, and I gotta start figuring out this Y pipe situation. But that's it. Project Dark Horse starting to take some sort of shape.